Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new 2023 Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. And today, I'm gonna review it for you guys. The Calligraphy is the top trim of the Santa Fe. And while I really like that name, I can't help but wonder if eventually all these car manufacturers are gonna run out of big fancy words to call their top trim models. Well, thankfully Hyundai snagged Calligraphy and didn't have to settle for any of those other ones. Let's get started with the review. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Kelly Hyundai of Hamburg, Pennsylvania for allowing me to borrow this vehicle to review. For all your Hyundai needs, I'll leave a link to Kelly's website in the description below. Starting out up front on the Santa Fe, I just want to take a moment to appreciate how stylish and sharp this SUV is. I think back to the early 2000s when, well, that was not exactly the defining characteristic of Hyundai. I'd say that they were very practical cars, but definitely not something you would turn your head at. But Hyundai has come a long way, and as the kids say, had a glow up. This SUV in particular is really sleek. I love the look of it. Up here, you'll have daytime running lights that also double as your turn signals, and those fold down in a T shape into the traditional headlight housing. That is really cool. Reminds me of Volvo's styling cues, though it does differentiate itself enough that you can definitely tell this is a Hyundai. And then you'll have LED low beams and high beams in the housing. One thing I wanted to point out is that you're probably noticing the LED daytime running lights are like flickering. That's the camera's refresh rate. That's not actually happening in real life. They are like a static light, but the refresh rate of the camera and the refresh rate of the LED light are separate, so it makes it look like it's moving. I've had a lot of questions on that in the past, so I figured I'd clarify. Then below the headlights, you'll have parking sensors on the front of the grille, and then even lower down here, you'll have a sensor for the safety features that this comes equipped with, lane departure warning, radar guided cruise control, stuff like that. And then in the center of the grille, right below the Hyundai logo, you'll have a camera, and that is for the 360-degree camera system that this is equipped with. Moving underneath the hood in the Santa Fe, this Calligraphy is powered by the optional 2.5-liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder, making 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. That is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Moving to the profile of the Calligraphy, starting down here with the wheels and tires, you'll get 255/45, here we go, this is a mouthful, Continental cross-contact LX sport tires, around 20-inch wheels. I really like the design of these wheels. I think they complement the rest of the exterior styling very well. And then down here you'll have a chrome strip. Wow, that's bright. You'll have a chrome strip that extends along the lower portion of the body. And then up here on the mirror, you'll have a white body color mirror cap with black, piano black accenting down here. It does have a turn signal indicator, a camera for that 360-degree camera system. It is power folding and power adjusting, and you have blind spot monitoring incorporated into it as well. So a lot built into that mirror. And then down here you will have keyless entry, so all you have to do is have the key in your pocket and you can walk up, lock and unlock it. That's very convenient. Normally I don't talk about the gas cap, but this is cute. Push here to open with vehicle unlocked. So convenient. Thank you, Hyundai. Nobody goes the extra mile. Just in case I forgot, Hyundai is there for you. Just to clarify, I am 100% positive this gets removed whenever you buy the car, but I just think it's so funny that they have a sticker that says that. Oh my word. Anyway, moving here to the back of the car, sorry for the glare from the sun, you'll get this really cool LED kind of continuous light bar across the rear. And then, you know what? Hyundai's stepping up the game. You've seen one light bar. How about two, baby? There's a second one down here, though I suspect, actually it is, I can see it. This is just a reflector. This isn't something that lights up. But while we're down here, you'll have a single exhaust down here, parking sensors on the back. and then a backup camera here. Now there's a couple of different ways to open up the rear liftgate. One is the traditional way. You just tap the button and it goes up. And then you have a lot of whoa, that's a lot of glare. You have a lot of different storage options in here once we move in. You have some storage down here. You also have some storage down here. And you can also fold the second row with these buttons right here to have even more storage. I didn't push that other seat far enough up, but that goes flat. And then you have a little cubby down here and a Harman & Kardon subwoofer right there. So very useful. And also I like that there's a light right here on the roof line. Normally you don't see that. Normally it's like further up, but I like that you can just turn that on if you want from right here. Whoa, that is so bright. It's so funny because it's so bright outside, but the car is so bright that my camera's like, I don't know what to do. Anyway, in addition to the button up at the top of the liftgate, there's also a button to close it from here if you want. You can tap that and that will automatically close the liftgate, and the key fob, which is absolutely packed full of features. We'll talk about SmartPark in a minute, but you'll get lock, unlock, panic. You can hold this button to lift it up again. Oh, you know what? There is lights in there. Huh. I know what that is. Okay. Little history lesson, everyone. I just discovered this right now. So, I'm going to close this to make it more understandable for everyone. The reason that there are lights down there is that you are not allowed to have reverse lights on a moving part of a car's body in America, just for safety reasons. So for example, if this liftgate was up, obviously this portion of the light wouldn't function. So there are lights down there to kind of negate the styling cue right there and make it legal in the United States. So there is actually lights down there on the side. As you can see, if I hit unlock again, you can see that flickers. So that's your lock and unlock right there. Very interesting, but that's why they do that. That's why sometimes you see cars with kind of ugly rear lights. That's why they do that, because it can't, turn signals can't be on a main portion of the body that moves. They have to be on a fixed position. Anyway, let's talk about SmartPark. Everyone and their grandma saw the Super Bowl SmartPark commercial, and everybody seems to know what the feature is, so I don't really feel like I can add anything new to the discussion, apart from my charming charisma. But I do feel it necessary to talk about it just in case you might not know about it. What SmartPark is the ability to pull the vehicle out of a very tight parking space automatically. You don't have to drive it, or you can back it into a parking space automatically without driving it. It's really a party trick, but it's a pretty neat party trick. So what you do on the key fob, you hit lock, you hold remote start, it turns on. It is now on. So let's say we want it to go forward. There is a button on the key fob. You click to hold to go forward. Now notice I have angled the tire a little bit. When I was testing this out, I noticed this and I thought this was really neat. So if I hold forward, what it's going to do is it corrects the tire and then starts coming towards me. So let's say I don't want it to do it anymore. I stop, I can let go of the button, I don't hit it, and it also sensed me right here, so it actually stopped. Now, if I want it to go backwards, I can do the same thing, hold the button, it will get ready, it will say, yes sir. It doesn't actually say yes sir, but it starts moving, and I let go of the button and it instantly stops. A very useful, well, depends on if you're in the city. You probably have found a use for it, and I would love to hear in the comment section below if you have a Hyundai equipped with SmartPark and how you've used it apart from every New Year's or Christmas party where you go, guy, you gotta see this. Look, it's out in the driveway. The Santa Fe, it moves itself. It's crazy. The future is now. Moving to the interior of the Calligraphy, it is incredibly well appointed in here. I would expect nothing less for Hyundai, especially this caliber of their luxury trims. The door panels are finished really nice, and even the window switches feel really premium, very high quality. Speaking of the window switches, down here you'll have those, lock, unlock, and your mirror buttons with the power folding mirror option right there. Then you'll have your memory settings for your power seats, which do go up, down, back, forth, and you do have power lumbar support. And then in here, you'll have the controls for the brightness of your gauge cluster, the illumination right there, your lane departure warning, your button to hold or open the lift gate from in here, so a lot of different ways to open the lift gate, traction control off, and your electronic parking brake is down here. Then your steering wheel is manually tilting and telescoping, so it can come forward and back. That's really nice. That's really hard to do with one hand. I'm going to push back. I'm going to use my knee a little bit to push that back. And then if we move to the steering wheel right here, you'll have paddle shifters on the back, which is really nice to see on what would be considered a family SUV, in my opinion, so that's really cool. And then you'll have your different modes on here for the screen, your Bluetooth, you can pull that all up there, and then your volume and channel changing. And then over here, you'll have your speedometer and your smart cruise control, your smart cruise control thing, which does show up on your tachometer. And then you have the controls for the center screen. This is a screen. Your gauge cluster is fully digital. If we come over here to our mode selector, trust me, we'll get to all these buttons in a second. If we come over to the mode selector and turn, we can turn to sport mode, and that'll actually change what the gauges look like. You can turn it to snow, and that also changes them, so I think that's really cool. And that you have those different options in there. And then, of course, this screen just gives you the other traditional readouts. Now, this Calligraphy also does have a digital heads-up display, as you can see right there, so it'll actually tell you what your speedometer... Where'd it go? It'll tell you what your speedometer is. I guess it just did. There it is. Kind of hard to see on the camera. Just trying to get away from me. But it's really neat. That's a really cool feature with this as well. And then, you get your traditional turn signals and windshield wipers. But if we click turn on these, it will actually turn the camera on the mirror and will show in the gauge cluster. You can do this for either side, what your blind spot is showing. And then down here, you'll have a push button. And then up here, okay, a lot of stuff in the screen. So I guess I should be sighing for when we get down here, because this is a whole beast of its own. So in here, you'll have quite a few features. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, phone projection. Apart from that, you'll have HD radio. You can go to quiet mode, which is really cool. So when quiet mode selected, radio and media is played only in the front seats, so that the back seats don't have that. That's an incredibly useful feature. You can talk to the rear seats. So can you hear this? Hey, it's me. It's me yelling to the back. So if somebody's not listening, I can use my voice to boom it and echo it even further. But a lot of different features here available on the head unit, apart from just the radio and navigation. And then down here, oh boy, here we go. Lots of buttons. When I initially stepped in here, I was like, oh boy, this is really complicated. I think once you get the handle of them, I'm sure that it will be second nature to reach towards some of these things. But I think initially, my first thought is it would be very difficult if you're trying to focus on the road and you're trying to reach over here to hit a certain button. There's just a lot put in the same place. So not the worst design I've seen for a car's climate and radio and gear shifter and selection stuff, but it is kind of mushed together. I think Buick takes the crown for the just absolute worst configuration of buttons altogether. But up here, you'll have your controls for the screen. So you'll have your volume, your channel changing, and your track seeking, as well as your navigation. Then you'll have climate controls right below that. And you'll also have part of your climate controls, your heated and cooled seats down here and your heated steering wheel down here. So that's kind of separate from that. And then you'll have your camera view for the 360-degree camera system that this comes equipped with. That's really nice. So you can turn that off whenever you want. You can turn your parking sensors off right here. Traction control, or this is hill descent control, because this also has a center locker. This is kind of a sick SUV. Hill descent control, center locker. That's not something you find on most luxury SUVs, but you will find it here. Automatic hold right here and engine start stop. And then this is your shifter. So what you'll do is you put your foot on the brake down there, and then you tap that to go into drive. You're in drive. It lets you know on the gauge cluster. Neutral, same thing. Reverse, same thing, but you'll also have the camera pull up, and then you can switch your different camera views for whatever you would prefer when backing up. And then still with my foot on the brake, tap that, and we're in park again. It's a lot of buttons, but still very useful. And then right here, you'll have a little cup holder with USB and, oh yes, this is Qi wireless charging. So you put your phone right here and the button for the wireless charging is right there. So you can close that up and then leave your phone right here to charge it. Then you'll get a cup holder right here and you can open this. This will pop open for some nice storage in there. And then this also has a kind of a center pass through down here with USB and then 12 volt down there. So that has a lot of storage opportunity as well. These seats are incredibly comfortable, really, really plush, just like the rest of the interior. And then if we move up here, the last big thing I wanted to touch upon up here is that this does have a panoramic moonroof. Oh, and it's opening. I didn't think that would open, but okay, cool. Yay! It's cold out here. Please, somebody give me gloves. I'm gonna close this really quick, but you do have the option to open that up. A lot of visibility and clarity from there. Love a good moonroof. You'll also have your lights up here. Nice soft turn on LED lights. Look at how softly they go off and how softly they come on. And then you'll have your SOS emergency calling right there as well. Moving to the second row seats, I have the front driver's seat about, as opposed to, I guess, the back driver's seat. I have the driver's seat where I would be sitting normally. So you can see I have a good chunk of legroom, probably 5 or 6 inches. Definitely room to stretch out and relax on a long road trip. And then I also have probably 5 or 6 inches of headroom thanks to this sunroof, maybe closer to about 4 inches of headroom with the sunroof, but this can definitely accommodate taller people back here. And then you'll have a vent shade right there. Love to see a good vent shade. I always miss this. When I was a kid, you ever have a minivan and you're like trying to put this up because you're super bored, and this was before phones existed, and your parents didn't buy you a Game Boy or a DS, so you're like, what am I gonna do? And you went, and then you would get it stuck and then eventually break it and your mom would yell at you. Was that just me? Anyway, my point in that was anytime I did that, I always only got one, you know? I always only got one, I never got both of them. It's really annoying, but apparently I've honed my skills a little bit, gotten a little bit better at that. Anyway, why do people watch my YouTube channel? Anyway, you will have heated seats back here, and the button for that is actually located on the door, which I think is nice. And the premium feel extends back here. This is all soft touch right here, and that cool speaker grill pattern is back here too. A lot of manufacturers skimp on the second row when it comes to luxury items like that. I'm looking at you, Chevy. But they really do extend that back here, which is nice. And then down here you'll have a household power outlet, USB, and another regular USB, as well as climate vents. And then you will have a little pouch on the one side, though unfortunately that is not on both sides. And you do have a center fold down armrest with cup holders in it, so that's nice as always to have that. So great second row seats. I mean, this interior is incredibly luxurious. I've always loved Hyundai. They're so premium while still remaining affordable with their units, which I love. With that, let's take this thing for a spin. This is the turbo engine, so it's a little bit peppier than the base one. We're gonna step on it here a little bit. Oh yeah, you can feel that instantly. Oh my word, the torque is very instantaneous. Gas or foot to the floor, gas instantly. Gas to the floor, foot instantly. But this rides really well. The handling is so smooth and very precise. It drives, I'm not just saying this, it kind of drives like a cloud. It's so smooth, and I don't say that about a lot of vehicles, but it handles really, really well. In conclusion, for these driving segments, braking is really nice, handling around corners. We're going down a pretty tight corner right now, and it handles it perfectly. It's very smooth, like I said. I really like how it drives, and it's just got so many cool bells and whistles. I think if you're gonna get a Santa Fe and you're in the market for more of a luxurious version, this Calligraphy is definitely the way to go. It's got all the bells and whistles. Though I was looking around and I don't see any bells or whistles, so I don't know what anybody means when they say that. but it's got a lot of cool functionality that I really appreciate. All right, guys, that's going to conclude my review of this Santa Fe Calligraphy. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, liking and subscribing would help my channel out quite a bit. Lastly, I am a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to hear those. It is an honor for me to be able to pray for you guys. You can leave those in the comment section below. Lastly, I like to read a section of scripture to close out my videos. This time it is Mark 7, verses 6 and 7. Right here, this is Jesus speaking, and he's talking to some Pharisees. He's quoting one of the older books in the Bible, Isaiah, and he says, "This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." Verse 7, "In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men." Basically what Jesus is saying there is, people will say that they're Christians, but in reality, they're not actually following Jesus. And a lot of the things that they come up with, the tradition, if you will, is created by men, and it's not actually from the scripture. And this is a section of verses that's very close to me, because I think stuff like this scares a lot of people away from wanting a relationship with Jesus, because they see these hypocritical people living lives that are contrary to what the Bible actually says. And so they go, well, I don't want that. Obviously, why would I want to live like that? And so I think if you're a Christian watching this, to be reminded that we should always be pursuant of the Lord and not our own selfish desires. And if you're a non-believer watching this, I would encourage you to pick up the Bible, read what it says, because this is the ultimate authority, not me. Give God a chance. That's I guess, the message of this Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy video. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.